Hello, friends. Welcome to this session on alternate career options. My name is Pankaj Goswami. I am a management consultant and a business coach for small and home business owners. If you really see the last few months, we have all gone through unprecedented times in the history of mankind. Almost every walks of life, every business, big and small, all kind of professions, in terms of self-employed, employed professionals in big and small companies have undergone tremendous pressure in their livelihood because millions of jobs have got slashed, salaries have come down. Now in this whole scenario, it's becoming very vital as that we all need to understand what are potentially alternative career options, which could be both full-time as well as part-time. So I actually started doing series of seminars, and I'm actually putting together this video to essentially give you a quick snapshot of what are the options available for people. You may be already in a job, or you may be in an industry which is under severe stress. I think understanding what I'm talking in the next few minutes could be life-changing for you. As I was continuing some of my seminars in the last few months, I noticed two types of people. One type of people who have been really waiting and hoping that things would go back to as we were a couple of months back. But I'm afraid to say that, I think the world has changed forever. The way we used to doing our business, our life, our professions a couple of months back, that's not going to come back. Several industries have got affected. Major of them has been affected to such an extent that there is an existential threat. If you are from industries like hospitality, tourism, aviation, retail, these are severely affected. So I think if you are already working in these kind of businesses, or if you have your own business around any of these sectors, it's time that you start focusing on where you can start looking for alternative incomes or alternative career options. Let me try and explain to you what I'm talking in mind. I think before we really get into the details of what are the options available, I think one thing is very clearly that mentally you all need to be prepared that the world has changed, and it has changed forever. I think there's some new trends are going to come up, and unless we are quick to adapt, we will not be able to grab the opportunities. Every crisis, including this, will give you a lot of opportunities, and it's up to us to be able to find out where these opportunities are. Right? Many industries, although adversely of getting affected, there are a lot of industries which are having a positive effect. And if you are able to identify those industries and you're able to create your career option depending on your strengths, your personality, I think it's going to be something which could be life-changing for you. I'm going to basically talk about only one option that I have, but there are other options. I think before we start looking into the options, one of the things that you have to look at is what is your currently mental state. I think most people are not able to come out of the crisis because they're not able to handle it mentally. So you got to be first realizing the fact that you are not alone. Millions of people have got affected, but very few will come out of it in a more successful manner than what they were in the past. Yeah, the things will change. The economy will slowly come up, jobs will come up. But in the crisis moment, there are some opportunities, and the smarter ones amongst you should be able to go and grab it. But before we start getting into that, another important thing that you need to keep in mind is that what are your financial positions. So right now, you may have already started doing it. Take care of all your basic expenses first. Look at a budget. Create a budget in such a way that you eliminate all unnecessary expenses. If you have liabilities, in the form of mortgages or EMI, look at those assets and see, if you really want them. If you don't feel that you have enough kind of balances, because it's important for you to know that whatever you take up amongst the option that I'm talking about, it will take some time. And mind you, if you feel that you are going to wait and get jobs, you may get. I'm not saying that you may not get jobs. Jobs are around, but it's going to take a long time. I have been talking with so many people now. For every job opening, previously there were 100 applicants, now there are 1,000 applicants. So unless you're really able to shine out in that whole job selection process, it's going to be really tough. So it may happen, you may get a job, right? But you may have to compromise on, a whole lot of things, positions, income, and everything put together. And it'll still take you time. So what I'm going to suggest to you, which is important for you to know, is our few trends which is going to happen. And it's already happened. It's something that you need to know. Point number one, companies, big and small across different industries, are cutting costs, right? And when they are cutting costs, one of the big costs is today hiring of people. And if you have been already salaried people and you're working 40, 50 hours a week, if you touch your heart and say that invariably 50% of the time you're not effectively or you're not actually utilizing the time for work, but the company was paying for you. And people who are today decision makers knows about this fact because they also are in a similar kind of a boat. So what is going to happen out of it is that they will reduce salaries. Previously, there was a time when they used to keep people at, let's say, I will not use the higher salaries, but with that kind of a thing, still compromising on productivity, was because there were limited amount of people, good qualified people to fill up vacancies. But it's no longer the case. I think for every job vacancy or for a job profile, there'll be thousands of applicants. So one of the things which I see already happening is that companies will hire part-time, right? They will clearly define a job. They will define the job, the time, and they will give contract workers, and they will be senior people who will be, able to do that kind of a work. So don't have that inhibition saying that you will not do a contract job. Because I believe that's a mental state that you need to take into consideration, and this is something that you need to consider because most of the future jobs are going to be part-time work. Point number two, you need to clearly realize the fact that you need to have multiple source of incomes. So if you're going to do part-time, you have a lot of time available. So what are the things that you can do? One thing that you can do is typically get into training and coaching. You maybe with a lot of experience in a particular industry, in a particular profession. Now, a lot of companies, big and small, are looking for people, and we already were in a state, in a country where skills were, not there. It was a very common saying that more than 50% of the graduates coming out are unemployable. So maybe as an experienced people, you can set up, some training and coaching, right? The third option that you can start thinking of is setting up a business, right? There are several types of businesses which are there. And if you really look into it, business allows you to get into something what is called, passive income. If you can build up a system, and if you start able to develop a system where you, instead of becoming an employee, you become an employer, you make other people's work for you and you start getting an income, right? Now, this is an ideal stage. This is something which typically everyone aspires to go to become an entrepreneur, especially in the modern world. But then in the current economic scenario, becoming an entrepreneur in a traditional business could be a very difficult proposition because it needs expertise. You need to be able to identify what business that you're talking about. It needs to be in a space where you have some knowledge, understanding. On top of that, you need to be able to put in the capital required, whether it's, plant and machinery, land, people. So it's not something that's everyone's cup of tea, right? But there are alternatives. There are wonderful alternatives, in which you can go and set up your own business. And one of the options I'm going to talk about is today an industry which is already slated and it's already reached a compound annual growth rate of about 24%. Can you imagine, when the whole world is going through a recession, and here we are talking about a growth industry which is growing at about 24% annually. Being part of a growth industry is a major advantage for someone because you grow along with the growth of the industry. And that industry that I'm talking about is called network marketing. Now, network marketing, affiliate marketing, or multi-level marketing is a word which immediately throws up some antenna for a lot of people, especially people who are salaried and employed. They feel that it's some sort of a profession which is not meant for them. I am so surprised to see this kind of an attitude, because when I got into this industry, a few months back, and I was introduced to it by a very senior person who was my first manager in my corporate life. He took it up after 25 years of corporate life, and he's today one of the most successful network marketers in India. When he introduced to me, I was obviously very interested to see how can such a successful person take up something which I never considered. So I took some time out and tried to understand about this business. And I suddenly realized that, wow, this is something really the 21st century business. If you get into this business without knowing, and a lot of people have got very limited knowledge about this business. They think that it's all about selling products to people, pushing products. Unfortunately, my dear friends, that's not this business is all about. This is a highly sophisticated, serious business. And if you really understand how this business is done, then you'll start appreciating, and you would have wished, why didn't you take it 10 years back? So this is a system which today has created some of the world's most number of millionaires that coming out from a single industry is network marketing. It is perhaps the only industry that I can think about where an ordinary person without any richness, wealth, or any kind of a legacy backup supporting him can become a millionaire in a few years. And when I'm talking of a few years, it's maybe 3, 4, 5 years. It's an amazing business. Not only it has got all the characteristics of a great industry. It's sunrise industry. It's growing massively. It's got a well laid out system. It's something which brings out successful people in a very short period of time. And on top of that, with social media now becoming almost like second way of life, social media networking I believe is the most attractive industry that anyone can think about, right? I would welcome you guys to have a look at what this industry is all about. There are a lot of things that needs to be learned. I would welcome you to some of my sessions that I conduct regularly on trying to introduce this business, where I talk about the business per se, the different kind of options as to how you become successful in this business. What are the typical secret formulas to become successful in this business? And I will definitely talk about the company that I represent with its great products and some of the amazing income streams. So thank you for being part of this video. I'm sure you'll be interested to know what we are talking about. Talk to the person who shared you this video. Fix up the next appointment for this session, and I look forward to seeing you and talking to you live. Thank you. Be safe, and all the best for the time to come. Thank you.